Mr. President, is there anything China, Canada, and Mexico can do tonight to forestall your implementation of tariffs tomorrow?
No, nothing. Not right now, no.
Not a negotiating tool?
No, it's not. No, it's a pure economic. We have big deficits with, as you know, with all three of them. And in one case, they're sending massive amounts of fentanyl, killing hundreds of thousands of people a year with the fentanyl. And in the other two cases, they're making it possible for this poison to get in, number one. And number two, we have big deficits, and it's something we're doing, and we'll possibly very substantially increase it. Or not, we'll see how it is. But it's a lot of money coming to the United States. As you know, we have about a $200 billion deficit with Canada, getting close to $200 billion. They've treated us very unfairly. And I say, why should we be subsidizing Canada? It's wonderful. I have so many friends in Canada. It's a great place.
Is there a concession you're looking for, sir?
No, we're not looking for a concession. And we'll just see what happens. We'll see what happens. And with Mexico, it's the same thing. We have a $250 billion deficit, and we have a lot of people coming into the border, and now we've largely stopped that, but we've stopped that ourselves. I think they've done a fantastic job. You've seen the numbers, they've dropped to almost zero. But we've suffered under the past administration for years and years. We've suffered with millions of criminals coming into our country. Criminals, people from jails from all over the world. They come through Mexico, and they come through Canada too. A lot of them come through Canada, and a lot of fentanyl comes through Canada, and China makes the fentanyl. China makes the fentanyl, gives it to Mexico, puts it through Canada, puts it through different places, mostly Mexico, but also a lot through Canada. And so all three haven't treated us very well.
Can I ask you about your meeting with NVIDIA? What did you talk about, and do you think you need to ban more of the chips that they're selling to China?
Well, he's a great gentleman, and I hadn't met him. He's the biggest in the world in terms of chips. And I can't say what's going to happen with it. We had a meeting. It was a good meeting. But eventually we're going to put tariffs on chips. We're going to put tariffs on oil and gas. That'll happen fairly soon. I think around the 18th of February.
And sir, what do you plan on talking with the Japanese Prime Minister about next Friday when you all meet?
Well, he's coming in, next week. I don't know who he is for a meeting, and I have great respect for Japan. I like Japan. Prime Minister Abe was a very close friend of mine. What happened to him was so sad, one of the saddest days. But they're coming in to speak to me, and I look forward to it.
Mr. President, on the crash, do you have any concerns that your commentary about things you have described as common sense or your observations could in any way interfere with the thorough investigation of the crash?
No, I think they'll do an investigation. It'll probably come out the way I said it. I like to put it up front. I'm so tired of listening to things happen to our country, and then people say we'll do an investigation, and 3 years later they come out with a report that nobody looks at. Especially, not in all cases can you do that, but in this case, you had a helicopter that was, the Black Hawk was too high. It was above the 200 limit by double. Shouldn't have been there. And there were some other mistakes made too, and I pointed them out also, and I was right on all of it. But they'll still do an investigation just to check it out. But I think that's
Commander-in-Chief, are you at all concerned about opining about the Army and the conduct of that aircraft when you are Commander-in-Chief and these are the people who report to you, and there is an investigation ongoing?
This was all caused by bad rules, regulations, and other things by Biden, the Biden administration. And when you look at the way they ran things, in fact, if you look, we hired, one of the first things I told them to do, I said, get talented people in those beautiful towers overlooking runways. You better get them in there fast, because we don't have people there that are qualified. And you knew that because planes were landing very, very late. They were circling all over the place. We had people that didn't know what the hell they were doing.
And so there are planes in the air everywhere, and there are other air traffic. Pardon me, sir.
We have to have the best people, the smartest people, the sharpest people as control tower experts. And that's what they have to be. They have to be experts, and they have to be very smart. And we didn't have our best. And if you read the quote that I read yesterday at the news conference, it talked about people that were psychologically injured were okay, and people that had lots of problems were okay. I'd read it again. if you'd like me to, but I don't think I have to
Does that
waste
give
your
you
time.
concern, though, sir, with planes in the air all around the country, people relying on that as safety? Are you suggesting there's an ongoing risk?
No, I think there's very little risk, but I think that we have to make sure that this never happens again. Very, very little risk. And we're taking actions that this can't happen again. The helicopter, as you know, was out of its zone. Shouldn't have been out of its zone. It was at the same height as the airplane. Now, the airplane was coming down on its track. It was perfect. It was in perfect shape coming down, and something was in its way. You can't let that happen, and it won't be happening again. And this was all because of weak rules in the Biden administration, and we're just not going to let that kind of thing happen again. And again, I could wait, and I could, give a report in 2 years like they always do, and sometimes it's obvious. In this case, to me, it was very obvious, and I think I've been proven to be very correct. Yeah.
Mr. President, what do you expect from your meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu next week?
I expect a lot of good things. From all meetings, I expect good things.
That government websites will be shut down this evening to scrub them of DEI content. Can you confirm if that's
What's
accurate?
been shut down?
Government websites, will be shut down this evening to scrub them of DEI content. Can you confirm whether that's accurate and if there are any concerns?
I don't know.
about-
It doesn't sound like a bad idea to me. DEI would have ruined our country, and now it's dead. I think DEI is dead, so if they want to scrub the websites, that's okay with me. But I can't tell you. I guess probably certain people handle it certain ways. But I'll tell you who's very happy about it: the military. The real leaders, the real generals in the military, they're very happy about it. Doug is very happy about it. He's got a big group of people that are going to be working for him, really starting right now. He just got signed up, and they're very happy about it. He had a lot of DEI. Everybody did, but he has not been a fan. It was really hurting our country badly. It's costing a lot of money too. Do you see the kind of money we're talking about? Hundreds of millions of dollars for nonsense. Now we have our country back now. Our country is back, and it's a nice thing to say. I've never seen such love. I've never had anything like it. I've never seen anything like it. People are coming up, sir, thank you for bringing our country back. We were losing our country, and I think we're stronger now than we've been in many, many decades.
At the
Any
Department
update on your call with Vladimir Putin?
Well, we'll be speaking. We'll be speaking, and I think we'll perhaps do something that'll be significant. We want to end that war. That war would have never started if I was president, and we want to end that war. That war is a horrible war. Millions of young people are being killed, mostly on the lines now, mostly soldiers. But the cities have been largely destroyed, many of them. They're like demolition sites. But the soldiers are just shooting at each other. It's a very flat land. I said this the last time, very, very flat land. The only place that a bullet stops is when it hits a person. And they're hitting a lot of people. They're hitting a lot of soldiers, but on both sides. I think Russia would probably say close to 800,000, and Ukraine 600,000 or 700,000. And it's just a senseless situation, and it's got to stop. So whatever I can do to stop it, and we are having discussions, yes.
ongoing, already scheduled and ongoing? Have you-
Already talking, yes.
So you've already spoken to Vladimir Putin
I don't want to
since?
say that, but we are having very serious discussions
Is
about.
there a reason you don't want to?
Well, I just don't want to say that. We're having very serious discussions about that war, trying to get it ended
With Russia?
with Russia. Yeah.
At the Department of Justice and the FBI, there are a number of high-level people who are being asked to resign or are being told they are going to be fired. Did you specifically request any actions at the Bureau or DOJ with respect to those employees?
No, but we have some very bad people over there. It was weaponized at a level that nobody's ever seen before. They came after a lot of people, like me, but they came after a lot of people. No, I wasn't involved in it. I'll have to see what is exactly going on after this is finished. But if they fired some people over there, that's a good thing, because they were very bad. They were very corrupt people, very corrupt, and they hurt our country very badly with the weaponization. They used the Justice Department to go after their political opponent, which in itself is illegal. And obviously it didn't work.
Are you going to impose tariffs on the European Union?
What does that mean?
Are you going to impose tariff too on European Union like you are going to do for Mexico and Canada?
Well, you're asking me a question, because I'm sure you didn't hear, am I going to impose tariffs on the European Union? Do you want the truthful answer, or should I give you a political answer? Absolutely. Absolutely. The European Union has treated us so terribly.
You promised Americans to try to reduce costs, and so many of the products that would be tariffed, when they come into the country, the outgoing country is not paying the tariff. The buyers in the United States pay that, and then that's passed on to consumers in
Right.
most instances.
Sometimes.
How would you expect to have prices come down if you have such a broad plan for tariffs? And what do you say to the voters who want to see you reduce everyday costs?
Well, let me just tell you that I got elected for a lot of reasons. Number one was the border. Number two was inflation, because I had almost no inflation. And yet I charged hundreds of billions of dollars of tariffs to countries. And think of it, I had almost no inflation and took in $600 billion of money from other countries. And tariffs don't cause inflation, they cause success. They cause big success. So we're going to have great success. There could be some temporary short-term disruption, and people will understand that. I had that when I negotiated some of the good deals for the farmers. And unfortunately, those deals have been led astray by Biden and his people because they didn't enforce the deals. We have a deal with China, which is phenomenal for the farmers, but there was nobody to enforce it in the Biden administration. They let them get away with murder. So that's another thing we're going to be bringing.
Do you accept the principle of costs being
They
passed
committed to
on?
buying $50 billion worth of farm product, and they did it when I was president. And as soon as I left, they stopped doing it because there was nobody in Biden to enforce it. But the tariffs are going to make us very rich and very strong, and we're going to treat other countries very fairly. But if you think about it, other countries charge us tariffs. We don't charge them tariffs. And it's about time that that changes.
With efforts to reduce the federal workforce, whether it's offering what we've called the buyout package or other efforts, do you have any concerns that there will be employees broadly across the federal government who might take that up? And they're a part of the many different ways that agencies protect the public, from food inspections to water safety to
I know,
the air
but
traffic
everybody's
controls.
replaceable, and we'll get very good people to replace them if it turns out to be more than we thought. It could be a lot, it could be a little, we don't know, but we'd love to have them leave. We're trying to remember this. We want them to go into the private sector. It's our dream to have everybody almost working in the private sector, not in the public sector. We have many people, very few people came to work. They were, it started more or less with COVID, but actually even before COVID. But it started with the COVID, they didn't come back. And then Biden let them get away with murder, and we had federal workforce like 4% coming into the office. And that just doesn't work. People can say it does, but it doesn't work. You have to be unified in a group in the office. It's just, it was crazy. You don't know what they're doing. And then at some point we may ask them to certify that they didn't have two jobs, meaning were they really getting a check from us, the government, and then were they also working a second job and a third job and, on government time? And many of them will say that they did, which is not legal, but it's a problem. It's a problem. No, we want to get that out. We want to clean it out. People have been trying to reduce federal government now for 40 years, 45 years, and they haven't been able to do it. And this is a way of doing it, I think, very nicely. It's sort of a buyout, too. I think we're treating people very good, but people don't come to the office. They won't have a job starting on that very special date. So we'll see how that works out. I mean, nobody knows how that's going to turn out. Everybody might show up to the office and maybe a large number won't show up. But if they don't show up, we've accomplished a very serious goal. We're trying to reduce government.